Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Aliens Labyrinth, a 4-issue miniseries from 1993, published by Dark Horse Comics. And the main reason I bought this, I wasn't a big Aliens comics guy, but Jim Woodring wrote these, a great creator of Frank and the Unifactor, and very strange. He did a few mainstream Aliens types things for Dark Horse at the time, around the time, and this is drawn by, at the time, newcomer Killian Plunkett, who does some really good art. Not all the time though. I think he got way better. His learning curve was pretty quick, but there's some rough stuff in here where it's like, ah, man. He's not quite there yet. Before we continue, I just wanted to mention, sorry my voice is all weird today. I don't know what happened. I went to a Korean barbecue grill yesterday. It was delicious, but I think I had some food contamination from the raw meat. I had some GI issues, but then strangely enough, all of a sudden, like an hour after the meal, it feels like somebody punched me in this left side of my face. I can't open my mouth all the way. It's very sore. It's very strange. I hope it's not anything serious, but hopefully a day of rest will make it go away. So let's crack these open. Number one, God, I love this cover. The covers are all outstanding, and that's what's kind of frustrating. Some of the art inside, it looks like an artist who hasn't quite got his style down yet. A little crude even at sometimes, even though he's some of the panels are great, but these covers are all like, I love Killian Plunkett. This kind of stuff. It's really good stuff. So we start off on a spaceship. This guy, he's Colonel Dr. Crespi of the United States Alien Marine Corps. I like those guys and, aliens. And he wakes up from his cryo sleep, and he has secret orders from the higher-ups saying, when you get to this space station in Almanata, you are fully authorized to assume by force, if necessary, to take over command. And that's his secret orders. Nobody else knows this. As far as everyone else knows, he's just going to this station to work alongside the Colonel Doctor Scientist there. So we meet a little bit of his crew, and more importantly, we meet McGinnis. McGinnis kind of becomes a confidant of his, and apparently this is a shit mission, a really bad mission. There's some bad rumors coming from this Inamanata space station. So he shows up, Admiral Faze, kind of the big head honcho. He greets him. And he's kind of showing him around, and he's also giving him the runaround. Because basically, Crespi just wants to get down to work. He's like, I really want to see Colonel Dr. Church as soon as possible. And he's like, oh, no, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Just relax. He's like, I insist. I really want to see him immediately. Because he knows something's up with Church. That's what his higher-ups, that's why his higher-ups sent him there. He's probably doing something he shouldn't be doing. As you can see, this art, like, he's got a lot of detail, but some of these faces just look weird to me. Like, I don't know, like, look at that. It's a little off. It's so different than the cover. So finally he gets to meet Church. And Church is your kind of typical mad scientist type. You know something's off the first time we meet him. Like, uh-oh, this guy's trouble. So I guess his predecessor, Church's previous, colleague, this guy Lennox, he got killed by an alien. But of course, it's all hush-hush, and they're kind of kept it under wraps, but he knows. So that's the main reason he's there. He's like, what the hell are you guys doing here? He's trying to find out. And we find out. He's got xenomorphs in captivity. He's running experiments. And I think you're not even supposed to have any xenomorphs. So right off the bat, he's just like, I should write you up right now. But it's almost like he's seduced by the, his scientific curiosity. So it seems like they're all safe. They've got these xenomorphs safely penned up. They have all these precautions. And so now we see basically these xenomorphs. Church has got them wired up to take electric shocks. They've got something in their body that he can just zap them at any time to stop them from doing something. So it's almost like they're domesticated. So he shows some experiments where there's a pig and a soldier. And he's like, which one do you think the xenomorph's going to go for first? And he attacks the soldier because he has a hive mind. He's like, oh, I'm hungry as hell. He's starving, basically. But I still have to protect the group, Any threat must be taken care of first before I get to eat. So it's just kind of all this like weird, interesting stuff. Kind of reminds me of a Day of the Dead with that Frankenstein guy talking about the zombies and how their weird minds work. So we see a few more of these little almost experiments. They're like psychological experiments, like how do aliens think? And so they basically have this labyrinth down there, and they set the alien loose in it, and they put different test control subjects in, some of these aliens comics that I've read are really good. They just, I think Dark Horse cranked out too many of them. And after a while, it was just like, but when they have a good writer and art team, I mean, they got some great writers and artists to do these, sometimes. And they're pretty fun comics. I remember I read like the first 2 series, and they were damn good. It's no wonder that Dark Horse built their success on those, because they kind of blew up because they were just really good. So then all of a sudden, they get this alert. It seems like one of the xenomorphs is missing. It's escaped. They track it down. I guess it's got like a GPS thing in it. And it's in this one corridor or area of the labyrinth. And there's a guy down there, one of the workers. And they're like, Mortensen, listen to me. Get out of there immediately. And go to this one section and lock the door behind you. And he does, but unfortunately the alien's on the other side, his side, and pretty gory. Yeah, he just cores his head like an apple. Look at that. I wonder if the art in this first issue, as I previously mentioned, there's some really off panels. I wonder if it's rushed. Maybe the first issue they had to get out of the gate real quick. Because 2 through 4 have better art. Still some hints of like you haven't quite nailed your style yet. That, that kind of thing. But it's better than this. But the core is there, of, Killian Plunkett's great style. But it's almost like taken to this weird extreme, especially in Crespi's face. There's some weird stuff going on. I'm not sure I like it. But, so basically, at the end of the issue, Crespi tells McGinnis, he's like, listen, I want you to spy around and figure out what the hell's going on there. That alien didn't get out on accident. That's almost impossible. So he suspects murder. Somebody let that alien out. And there's other evidence too. And pretty much right off the bat, they all assume it's going to be Church, because he's the mad scientist, you know. Unfortunately, Church apparently has the whole place wired for video, and he hears their whole conversation. So he knows they're kind of onto him, even though we don't even know what he's onto. We have a letter page, and this is nice getting to see some Killian Plunkett sketches. I guess at the time, he just sent in a submission cold to Dark Horse, and they were instantly blown away and instantly put him on a Aliens project. I didn't know this until I reread this. I forgot. Jim Woodring and Killian Plunkett collaborated on another Aliens project. I can't remember the name right now. So that came out before this. So this is their second collaboration. But this is some nice stuff. He really makes the aliens, the xenomorphs, very insect-like, which I like. It makes them scarier to me. Okay, number 2, another fucking gorgeous cover. It's no wonder, like, soon after this, Killian Plunkett was doing covers for Dark Horse, like, almost every month, a bunch of them. Star Wars covers. So here's the guy who died, the guy who got killed by that alien. Strangely enough, actually, I just never realized they totally screwed up. We just saw his whole head being cored like an apple. And he doesn't look that bad here. So they're going to give him like a space funeral. There's a little argument. The Admiral says, no, we should harvest his body parts. You know, when you're out in space, everything's valuable. And he's like, no, the Church overrides him. And he says, I'll personally conduct it. You know, I'll escort him and jettison him into space myself. Meanwhile, McGinnis gives a briefing to Crespi. She's finding out a bunch of disturbing things. And actually, she comes clean. She says, you asked me earlier why I volunteered for such a shitty assignment. Well, you know the man that you are replacing? Lennox, the one who was killed? That was my fiance. And, you know, of course, they just told me that he died of a heart attack, and I knew that's not the case. I had to find out for myself. Especially because, like, they burglarized her apartment and took every evidence of even her love letters to her fiance. Almost like they wanted her to erase his existence. So she knows something's going on. The high muckety mucks covering something up. So she's trying to get to the bottom of, like, who let that xenomorph out of its pen. But she did find out something very special. There's been important. There's been many unauthorized shuttle arrivals every year. Because basically she finds out that like 20 people have been dying a year there, like a very high mortality rate. And he's like, well, how do they replace them? And apparently they've been having these secret shuttle things. So basically it's implied that they're getting special permission. This is some kind of government black ops thing going on where they don't have to follow the rules, you know. So Crespi goes to work out to relax a little. And all of a sudden he hears this commotion. And we see just how fucking nuts Church is. Church has got a xenomorph on a fucking leash. And he's just strolling through the space station. Everyone, of course, is freaking out. Like, get that thing away from me. And he's petting it and calling it Trixie. He's like, bad doggy. And, of course, Crespi says, what the fuck are you doing? I should arrest you right now for 18 different things. Reckless endangerment, bioterrorism. And Church is just, we realize how bad he is. He's just like, what? Nobody appreciated my demonstration? I was just trying to make a point. Like, he's pretty gone. We can already see the art's getting a little better. Less of those weird squinty faces on Crespi. So basically he's trying to show off that he's got these creatures under total control. So now Crespi pretty much realizes, okay, this guy's a fucking nut. So Church calls Crespi to a demonstration. He says, come to my lab. And there's a dying alien there, a xenomorph. I guess the aliens, they don't do well in captivity. Sometimes they just die, being separated from their brethren, I guess. And there's this dead one, and he's basically saying, we're gonna vivisect this thing. It's time for the dissection. So they all suit up and in their med gear, and Crespi finds out that Church is insane, but he's a fucking genius. And he already knows more about these aliens, their physiology, than anyone in the galaxy. And he becomes very kind of excited. He's just like, because basically Church is saying, you know, with this knowledge we're finding out, certain organs I'm finding out about within the xenomorphs, we could eliminate this threat to the galaxy, their threat. So Crespi's really getting like gung-ho. He's just like, this is amazing. And Church says, oh, you still want to arrest me? He's like, no, this research is too important. He's a total convert now. It's interesting they mentioned that it's a kind of all this interesting stuff about how different their physiology is than any other creature in the universe. But apparently they're susceptible to electromagnetic waves. And that can actually stop them dead cold. Meanwhile, McGinnis is listening in, as per Crespi's orders. He's been like, just everything Church does, I want you to record and get down. So now it seems like Crespi is totally of a different mindset. He's excitedly talking to Church about, you know, what they've discovered, and that he can't wait to, you know, find out more. And when McGinnis confronts him, he kind of tells her that, and she's like, oh my God, like, you're totally brainwashed all of a sudden. So she's found out some more stuff. Turns out Church has got a hidden operation on board that's using like 30% of the energy from the space station. And she thinks she's located it due to the energy suck. So now all of a sudden Crespi is like, oh, okay. Yeah, Church is a bastard. Crespi's very easily swayed. He's very, he's like a puppet, just waiting for someone to grab his strings. So he goes to the secret lab, or he's looking for it, and an alien pops out. Well, another alien has escaped his pen. So he tries to torch it. He has this, like, I don't know, some kind of aerosol can with a lighter. And luckily for him, he just happens to be right next to the electromagnetic generator. He falls right next to it, and he presses the button, and it totally incapacitates the xenomorph. Two guys show up. They call for a crew to come take the xenomorph. And then Crespi, all furious, runs up the stairs trying to find McGinnis. And he grabs her, and he's choking her. Oh, he's going to kill her. He thinks that she set him up. She said, you sent me down there to die. You're a traitor. And she's like, no, I can prove it to you. Because he basically went into McGinnis's offices to get this, like, kind of a key, a slate that'll open the door to the secret lab. She says, listen, I can prove it to you. Let's just go to that lab. And with the slate, they open it up and they find this atrocity exhibition. This is what happened, all those missing, dead crew members. Just these horrible, grotesque experiments. Some really gruesome stuff, like this guy's got his head chopped off in some plug where his head should be. And they realize that guy who died in the first issue, he wasn't jettisoned. There he is. So all this, people who die in the ship are supposedly given a space funeral, but no. Church takes them and experiments on them. And then, even worse, is McGinnis looks up and she sees her fiance, Lennox. Well, a third of him. Whatever the fuck they're doing to him. Next we have a letter page. This is so great. So, these are just like goofy little illustrations that were on envelopes or the back of art pages. Killian Plunkett. And then look at this Jim Woodring Frank as a xenomorph. That to me is priceless. I think this is the main reason I'm keeping this series. We also get a nice Jim Woodring down here. And here's some more Killian Plunkett ones. This face hugger is humping her foot. What a bunch of cut-ups. Here's number 3, another fucking gorgeous cover. God, I love his covers. One of the best cover artists in comics. So now we start off right where we left off. And so of course McGinnis is devastated. And Church walks in. And McGinnis attacks him. And McGinnis lifts her up over his head as if she was a rag doll. And Crespi pulls his gun on Church. And Church just, this is kind of interesting the way Plunkett draws this to show that he's faster than the eye can see. His hand just reaches up and grabs the gun out of his hand. And Crespi doesn't even see him do it. He's just like, what? He says, oh my God, you're a synth. And he denies it. He says, no, I'm not a synth. I'm quite human, aside from some implants I've had. He claims that he's never killed anyone. He's just using the bodies that have died on ship. But it pretty much sounds like he's been engineering their deaths by letting aliens loose all the time. So he basically says that, I'm going to tell you a story now. I'm going to tell you why, what made me. I actually was the prisoner of an alien hive when I was younger. I was one of the few people to ever survive such a thing. Let me tell you about it. So now we have this flashback, and this is my favorite sequence in the miniseries. Pretty much the main reason I'm keeping this, because the rest of it, to be honest, is pretty pedestrian aliens type comics. But this is just such a harrowing, horrifying, just sci-fi concept that Woodring makes. So he was the son of these 2 space terraformers, his parents. His parents would go around terraforming planets. They had a crew. Everyone was like family. They even had a sex synth, a sex droid. And for the crew members, because they had no one to have sex with. And then there was also this a scientist couple with their daughter. So young Church kind of wanted to be a scientist, but didn't really study. He was pretty much just wrapped up in the life of being traveling in between worlds all the time. So they land down on this moon, and it was a routine mission. But they realize that there's aliens on this planet, and the aliens seize them all. They didn't kill any of them. They were going to use them. And there's a giant hive, an alien hive. They take them all inside, and Church describes it as the stench is beyond foul. He says, Woodring writes, the smell raped one's soul through the lungs. That's how bad the smell was. in there. So they kind of probe them, and then at one, and then one of the women resists, the daughter of the scientist couple, and they ripped her apart limb from limb. The synthezoid, the sex droid, they have a built-in thing. They must protect human life. So she runs in. They tear her apart. One of the crew members, he basically had a hand grenade. And so he kamikazes into two of the aliens and blows them up. Of course, Church is totally envious of him that he got to die. Because everyone here wishes they could just die. This is the closest thing to hell on Earth in the galaxy. So they kind of separate everybody. This alien takes Church, and we see all these other like kind of humans glued to the walls, like in Aliens. They're basically like cattle and or incubators for their eggs. He was attached to the wall with thick strands of web-like mucus. The whole time is just his nostrils were scoured by the stench. God, he really draws those xenomorphs great. So the aliens return. Now one of them goes up to one of these bloated, half-dead bodies, takes a chunk of flesh out of him, and then feeds Church. It's so nasty. He shoves the food in his mouth. The feeding was interrupted by a scream, and he realizes the scream is from that scientist guy. He's completely out of his mind. It looks like they ripped off half of his limbs. And then they pushed his face into this pool of green and gray slime, which swarmed with tiny tadpole-like creatures. And he just continued to scream as they glued his head to the wall. And he screamed after they left him. And he screamed and screamed and screamed until his vocal cords were shredded. And then he made a horrible noise like a goose. God, that's like... You can totally tell. I don't think a normal Dark Horse writer would write like that. That's Woodring, Fucking horrifying stuff. So basically, he's trying to swallow his tongue to kill himself, but he can't do it. I mean, that's how horrible this is. He's just like, at any instant, he's like, I gotta kill myself, I gotta kill myself. So they remove him from the wall, and he sees a bunch of this hive. And they take him to the breeding pens. You see some of the eggs. We already see the scientist woman, the Louise Clark. She's already bloated up with alien life inside of her. And when she delivers, she's just like, you can imagine just the horror. She's just screaming in horror. But when she delivers, the newborn things were obviously inadequate. They did not survive the hour. And that's when Church realizes something's wrong with the hive. The aliens were vulnerable. So they were like sick or something. And that's when he changed his mind. And this kind of resolve was born in him. From that moment forward, he was going to keep his eyes open and for any information that would help him destroy the aliens. He had this passion to take them down. And so they take him to the chamber with that pool with the tadpoles in it. And this is what he decides to do. He voluntarily goes up to the pool and drinks of it himself. It takes an amazing amount of will. It's probably just like hard not to vomit. And it works. The aliens basically, and then he feeds himself. He feeds one of the humans. So the aliens with their simple minds, they're just like, oh, he's cooperating, so we don't have to watch him so closely. He's doing what he's supposed to. So he's allowed to explore more because they kind of leave him alone. So basically he starts gathering up organic substances and makes a lab out of like whatever he can find. These crude experiments. He realizes that there's some mold. That's why the aliens are so sickly. This ubiquitous black mold. And so he realizes, this is my key. This is my weapon. So he basically starts cultivating the mold and spreading it more. And the aliens start dropping. So he uses his crewmates' skulls for dishes, ligaments for string, arteries for tubing, and skin for forming vessels. This is his lab equipment. He's cannibalizing his crew, his fellow crewmates. So he doesn't even want to escape anymore. He's so into his experiments, and finally, he succeeds. And also he realizes I could bring about their extinction in the whole universe. I'm sorry, guys, he hasn't succeeded quite yet. I jumped the gun there. So one day they take him to this place, a room in the hive, and there's more of that secretions. There's like a cradle, something like a cradle, and there's a person inside with all their limbs ripped off. It's his mother, his own mother. And pretty quickly he realizes they want him to breed with her. Just the horror of that. So he gets in the cradle, and as soon as he does, he strangles his mother to death. He puts her out of her misery. And then the aliens grab him, of course. And he says everything went black. And when he wakes up, they bring an egg to him, one of those alien eggs. And the thing is the facehugger is so sickly that they have to place it on themselves. It's too weak to like leap onto his face. But it still was strong enough to thrust its, member down his throat into his chest and deposit an egg. And Crespi says, "How did you survive?" And the issue ends with Church replying, "Who says I did?" Okay, we got a letter page, 2 letter pages, and that's about it. That's it. So number 4, probably not the best cover because he's got that weird face on Crespi again. I should mention this is early color work from Matthew Hollingsworth. So it looks pretty good for the most part, though I found this issue is a little too dark. I think it's a little too obscuring of Killian Plunkett's art. So basically, Church, we're still in the flashback. He thought he'd been killed, and he's blacked out for a while, who knows how long. And when he wakes up, he's like, "Oh shit, I'm still alive. This sucks." So when he wakes up, he realizes all the aliens are dead. Everyone's dead in the hive now. The captives, the aliens. So he realizes, I've got to get out of here. And he goes back to his spaceship, their spaceship, and he does a surgery on himself with the help of some surgical robots. He realizes he's got to take that alien out of his chest. Now, the alien, it's dead, so it wasn't going to burst through his chest like in the movies, but he still realizes he's got to get it out of him. He's going to die. It's going to poison his system, whatever. So he succeeds. He realizes, I guess I had a knack for surgery. And then a month later, this rescue party came for him. And because of his experience, the company considered his experience very valuable. So they gave him a full biomechanical makeover, and he basically has been working for them ever since. And, investigating into the aliens. And then he drops a bombshell. He says, McGinnis has been lying to you. David was not her fiance, and I should know because we were lovers. And McGinnis is just like, no, don't listen to him, Crispy. And he tells Crispy that Mortensen, the first guy who died, was a spy, and that McGinnis is in league with him. And he says, Crispy, please arrest this woman. And McGinnis pleads. She says, Crispy, he'll kill me. And once again, Crispy's totally swayed just by somebody saying something. This guy is pretty much a psycho. He takes his word and says, I'm sorry, McGinnis, but I gotta arrest you. And so she runs. She bolts. He chases after her, and it turns out it was all a ruse, and they both end up in one of those alien holding pens. Church comes out and basically says, hey, you moron. And then this is kind of nebulous. Church basically says, I didn't survive the hive. I am the hive. It's almost like it turns out that he wants the aliens to win this struggle against humanity. He says the pink poetry of man will be subsumed by the black blank genius of the alien, and the result will be the original and final creature. Kind of interesting. So he also has this thing that, I don't know, can basically zap Crispy and or just Crispy. So he says, I'll give you a chance. There's the labyrinth. Get into the labyrinth and, try to escape. He's in radio contact with them, churches, and he says, move along or I'll fry you where you stand. So they've got to keep walking through the labyrinth. Of course, there's aliens in there. And this one's harnessed. It attacks them, but it's harnessed. So they're trying to escape. More aliens come out. And one of the aliens tags Crispy. Basically takes a big chunk out of his back. He doesn't, it looks like a fatal wound, but he's still just by sheer will. He's soldiering on. Another alien comes out. Crispy attacks it with this giant tool. And he strikes a pretty strong blow against the alien, but it was strong enough that it makes him bleed, his acid blood, and a lot of it falls on a Crispy. So he's gone for now. He's done for. And McGinnis is just like, I'm sorry. I can't do anything for you. You're a goner. And he begs her to kill him. He doesn't want to be one of Church's experiments. And then his last wish, though, is, and then kill Church. Please, Sharon. So she does. She snaps his neck and then runs off. There's a weird body language here. She's like, I'm going to kill you, you bastard. But she looks like she's dancing with abandon, with her arms stretched out. So she's running away from these aliens, trying to get to Church. And she makes it out of the labyrinth. And she leaps up the walls to get Church. And he tries to zap her, but he realizes that it's not working on her. Something about having no telepathy in her system. It was a part of that autopsy sequence. There was a lot of kind of super scientific mumbo jumbo. And so I guess his zapper doesn't work on her. And she leaps out of the pit. And she grabs Church. And she bashes his head. Throws him in with the alien. Right then the guards show up. And they're like, freeze. They don't know anything about Church's, chicanery or evil deeds. And it turns out it's Trixie, his little xenomorph pet from earlier. And this just shows how nuts he is. He just says, hello, Trixie, miss me? Like, it's about to be killed by a xenomorph. The most terrifying thing in the universe. So now we cut ahead a little. It looks like Church is recuperating in the hospital. We don't know what happened. I guess maybe he had some trick to have the alien not kill him. And everyone basically thinks that McGinnis was this spy and that he was the good guy and that she killed Crespi with malice. I guess they picked her up. The Marines have picked her up a week ago. So she's not coming back. She's going away for a while. Forever, probably. So obviously he's going to continue to do this shit. So after the Admiral leaves, he has I think there's like a secret door he activates. And he's in this kind of super scientific wheelchair. And he goes through these corridors and opens this vault kind of thing. And in this giant, whatever, container of fluid, it's Tony Crespi. And Church tells him, I hope you know, Tony, none of this is personal. So he's going to be experimented on. So a very bleak ending. The bad guy totally wins. And the good guys, everyone thinks they were, villains. We got the letter pages, and I think that's it for this issue. So there you go, guys. Aliens Labyrinth 1 through 4. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not a huge fan of these Aliens comics. I mean, I kind of like, sometimes they're a good time, but I don't own many of them. But the reason why I've kept this, mainly because Jim Woodring wrote it. And maybe because these beautiful covers and some of the panels inside. Still, even the 4th issue, there's still some spottiness going on where Killian Plunkett just wasn't quite there yet. I mean, pretty soon after that, Killian Plunkett's pretty damn amazing now. You won't see any of that kind of shit in his work anymore. Those weird faces and stuff. But, this is kind of on the cusp. I mean, what the hell? I'm going to keep it. I'm sure one day I might want to reread it again. And just to ooh and ah over these beautiful covers. So, but, I don't know if you need to own this. But it's not bad, and especially because you'll probably find it in a dollar bin somewhere. So, I don't think these are expensive at all. And so it's worth your time. Not one of the best comics, and definitely not one of the worst. So, hope you guys enjoyed looking at this kind of okay comic with me, and I hope to see you next time here at the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.